It's the Bricklaying Show with Ash Mahoney.
On this episode, I'm joined by Andy Pali. Andy is a top quality, old school bricklayer, and I'll ask him about his work and get him to share some stories and his thoughts on the trade. Enjoy the show.
Please remember to leave a review and subscribe to help us grow the podcast.
And here he is, Andy Pali. How we doing, Andy? Okay,
Good,
mate?
Ash. How are you?
Yeah, really good, mate, really good. It's nice to actually see you in the studio instead of just on the end of the phone, because we've spoken a few times before on the show, haven't we? So right, we've got Andy in now. I'm going to ask him a few questions. So, Andy, when did you get into bricklaying and why?
Have you got 10 minutes?
Got enough time, mate.
Yeah, right. How did I get into it? When I left school at 16, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I drifted in and out of jobs and that. And a good friend of mine, his dad was a subcontractor for building commercial greenhouses, glass houses, all around the country. So I got into that for a couple of years. And I used to work with the bricklayer occasionally. You know, there used to be a concrete apron, and you'd have a course of concrete blocks going all the way around for the greenhouse to sit on. So I used to enjoy working with him. You know, I was 16, 17 then.
Yeah.
And we finished the job up in Lincolnshire, and I came back home waiting for another job to start. Jack Dawson, one of the directors of Supertrail, we won't mind me saying this because he's actually relayed this story on a podcast himself. His dad was a friend of mine. He was a couple of years older than me, and I've gone to the pub, and he came in and we were just talking. He said, "You looking for any work?" I went, "Well, not really. I'm waiting for a job to start." He said, "Only there's a job across the road. They want an odd carrier." I said, "Oh, I don't know. Don't really fancy it, really." And then I thought about it. I said, how comes you know this? He went, "I just got a sack." He liked a Monday off, do you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with his work. He was a good worker, you know, and he became a bricklayer, a good bricklayer. And I told Jack this the other week because his dad passed away a few weeks ago. And Jack used to live across the road from me, and my younger son, they went to school together. Yeah. Though Jack didn't realise this till, you know, I thought he knew who I was, but he didn't. To become the story. But anyway, yeah. So that's how I got into bricklaying, through his dad,
That's
basically.
good, brilliant, that is.
So I stayed on the odd for a couple of years, and I thought, you know, I got to about, I was 18, coming up to 19, I thought, I've got to do something here, you know, I can't be doing this all my life. So at the time, they had a thing, what was it called? TOPS course, TOPS. And as the Labour government brought it in, and there were skill centres all around the country. Yeah. And they used to teach bricklaying, carpentry, everything, every trade. They were fantastic. They really were. And what it was, you spent 6 months there, full hands-on every day, just half a day on a Friday, you'd done a theory. And it was the first 2 years of the apprentice scheme. So you'd done a 2-year apprenticeship, but it weren't day release. It was 6 months full on. Yeah. And they got your job when you finished, and you came out as an improver. I came out, and after 2 weeks I was in Holland, and that was it. That was it for years. But that's how I got into it. And these skill centres were fantastic. And I don't want to get too political about it, but Maggie Thatcher and the Tory government, I think it was because they were so successful, she stopped them, which was crazy because it gave people like me, and you had to be 18 to get onto it. Yeah. And people who'd missed the boat and didn't get on the apprenticeship scheme, or didn't know what they wanted to do, had a second chance. You could go in, you know, and most of them were ex-odd carriers who went in there, or people who wanted to get in the construction industry, in the management, but they wanted to learn a trade first. Yeah. You know, it was good, but we don't have it no more. It's all gone now.
Yeah. So it sounds like something they need to bring back if it was such fantastic. A success really as well.
The tutors and instructors were brilliant. They're all, you know, old hands at it. But yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah. So what was your apprenticeship like, Andy? And who did you learn off? You know, is there a pinnacle person you can go, he showed me the way?
Not really. Not when I was learning. We just had good instructors at the college. Yeah. You know, and everyone who was there was interested in it. Wanted to be a bricklayer. Yeah. So we had good instructors, and there was no one really. As I say, when I came out of college, I went straight abroad anyway. Thought I was a bricklayer, but I weren't. Yeah.
And what was it like over in Holland then?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
What took you to Holland? Like, where did the phone call come from? Who spoke to you about it?
One of the lads I was in college with was a bit older than me. He rang me up and said, "Fancy going to Holland?" I always wanted to become a bricklayer, and I always wanted to travel. Yeah. So the two came in hand in hand. Unfortunately, you can't do that now with Brexit. You know, we can't travel and work. Well, it's very difficult to anyway. So, he rang me up. I don't know how he got the job. I think it was advertised in the paper, you know, in them days. I went, we just went out there, and there was about, I can't remember, about 30 bods went out there. Some of them weren't bricklayers.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't.
Yeah,
I thought I was, but I wasn't. And yeah, most of them didn't last very long. Homesickness, basically. You know, had young families and that. No mobile phones then. You had to queue up with a handful of cash outside a phone box, you know, or write a letter.
Yeah.
And it was like that. So people were quite estranged from their families, and they couldn't go. And the alcohol as well. Just young men drinking it.
Yeah.
It caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, when you're staying away as well, like, there's nothing else to do, really, I suppose.
But, yeah, I hung it out, and I ended up living with a family. Dutch friend of mine, he worked on the doors, and I ended up getting a job on the door of another club.
Yeah.
I used to work 3 nights a week on there, and that money kept me going. My wage packet every week, I just threw in the drawer. I was driving about in the Merc. It's lovely. It was great. But on the bricklaying side of it, I learned a lot there. I really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all pick and dip out there. As you know, out of tubs, pick and dip. That's all I've done for years. And then when I came back to the UK, went on site, I had to build a corner. Yeah, that was a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
So how would you describe your approach to bricklaying and your mentality when approaching work?
I look at every job, because I do a lot, mostly private work now, no site work. You've got to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to build a garden wall, you've got to build it, stand back and look at it. Is that worth the £1,000 I'm charging for it? Would I pay for it?
Yeah.
That's how I look at every job, you know. And if I look at something, I think that's not right, I'll correct it.
Yeah.
I won't go home and think, because you just lay in bed thinking about it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Is he going to pay me for that?
Yeah,
we all
absolutely.
make mistakes, don't we? You know,
Yeah. Especially being a wet trade as well, like, you know, it's inevitable.
And the quicker you fix it, the easier it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you stand back and it's green, you've got to take something off. It's easy, isn't it? But,
absolutely. Yeah, if you're there and you see it there, instead of going back and having to bash it about when it's hard, it's
well, it don't look good.
easier. No, you're right, mate. You're right.
Yeah, that's about it, really. Yeah.
So what kind of work have you taken on over the years and more recently then? So you said about private work then. So how's, you know?
Well, I've done everything, you know, so I worked abroad a lot, worked on sites. Normally only worked on sites in bad times, though, when there's been recessions. You just think, there's a site around the corner, I'll just jump on it. Money's rubbish, but it'll get me through.
More frequent, yeah.
Because, you know, we've had plenty of times like that. Extension's big, but about 25 years ago now, I got a job on a country estate, and they had, I'm trying to think now, about 5 or 6 farms and a couple of 100 houses, and they was all Georgian. There was a couple of 15th century ones there. I was just going around repairing them. They had a wall there 7.5 miles long.
Oh, Jesus.
I used to get, I think, 5 weeks a year just on that, you know, repairing it. Well, didn't make any impact on it at all. But But one of it was part of it was on the main road, and there was always cars going through it, so you'd repair that. But I've got
7.5 mile long hand. More than that on price.
Yeah. It wasn't. They say it was built by Napoleonic prisoners of war, but obviously they weren't all bricklayers. But they were working on it as labourers, probably, because you find the coins sometimes, Napoleon coins.
Wow.
Yeah. That was interesting. But yeah, I got to work with lime then. That's when I first started working with lime mortars and getting involved in the heritage work.
Yeah.
All self-taught, really, because, you know, there weren't no internet then or nothing. 25 years ago, worth talking about. Just reading books and experimenting. Luckily, I had a free hand. You know, I was the only bricklayer there, and all this work to be repaired. Yeah. So, if I cock something up, I'll just rake it out and, you know, do it again, colours and all that. That was good. You know, now I do a lot more heritage work, brick repairs. I learnt tuck pointing in Australia in the early 80s. The bloke taught me, but I was never a tuck pointer, but I learnt the method, and I've polished it up a bit now, and I'm doing quite a bit of that. I still wouldn't call myself a tuck pointer, but so I'm not fast enough. But I can turn the job out now, which is handy. You know, I've just done 3 arches on the job, which came out okay. So,
Yeah, many strings to your bow.
You go.
Absolutely, mate. So, what's been some of the memorable sites or jobs you've taken on over the years? What's your favourite job, Andy?
Do you know what? I can't think of one. Honestly, couldn't. I walk off a job, I just forget about it. Honestly, there's some, but I wouldn't call them memorable. You know, I was at work this morning, and I hadn't worked with these lads for 6-7 months, I suppose. But I've worked for them for years. And the labourer saying, "Oh, do you remember that job we done at Sunso, Andy? You know, before COVID. They said, no,
Yeah,
I don't remember it. I really don't. So I can't give you that. A memorable job, but it wasn't bricklaying. I ended up in Cairo, believe it or not, about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
My mate phoned me out. He said, you fancy going to Cairo for 2 weeks? I said, do what? He said, just manage this job. Yeah, well, anything in for a penny, in for a pound, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we went out there, and it was a children's museum. President Mubarak's wife was running it. But this is after the uprising. So they was all in prison now. And there was bullet holes in our hotel.
Wow.
No police, just tanks in every corner, military everywhere. And we had one guy fell down the lift shaft, killed himself. Another bloke worked in flip-flops, cut his foot off with an angle grinder. It was unbelievable how they were working. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And we had these big crates arriving with just stuff for it. And they dropped a crate on my foot, and it weighed 3/4 of a ton.
I'm just checking under the table here to see if he's still got his foot.
I had toe caps on.
Yeah.
And I just stood there. I said, to take it on. And they'd never seen toe caps before.
Yeah.
They didn't know what was going on. They couldn't work it out while I weren't limping. But that was an interesting job. That was. And a motorcade turned up one day, 3 or 4 cars with motorbikes, and it was the general who was in charge.
Yeah.
He came out and walked about. He spoke perfect English. All he wanted to do was talk about Manchester City football. My mate was a Man City fan, so they're talking away. But yeah, that was a memorable job, but not bricklaying.
Yeah.
They were still using the 1/2 weight sacks of cement there.
Really?
Yeah, the big ones, 50 kilo.
Wow.
Yeah, 50 kilo. No,
Yeah. Yeah, so, who could you think back and think, look, he was a fantastic, look, someone of you seen, look, at a bricklayer over the years, you think, you know what, he's someone who's really stood out to you, basically.
I worked with 2 bricklayers, 2 brothers. They're both passed away now, Billy and George Patch. Me and my mate Duncan, as 4 and 1.
Yeah.
Because the old carrier was that good. And they were machines. They really were. Military precision.
Yeah.
They really were. And they just watching them work, what they put down. I struggled to keep up with them every day for months and months. We used to call it the Patch Fitness Club. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But we earned good money building warehouses.
Yeah.
Straight runs.
It
was incredible. They were really good. And I did work with a Turkish guy in Germany on the D blocks, and he was a machine as well. Fantastic bricklayer.
What's the D block sound?
They're the white ones. They're about that wide, like that, and that deep. They've got a hole in the middle, so you pick them up.
Okay.
Like that, yeah. I'll send you a video, because I've got some videos of people laying them.
Yeah. Have a look at that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He was good. Yeah.
It's always nice to hear people that stand out, same conversation with my dad. He's had a few people over the years that stood out. It's always nice to, and as you say, then it's Patch Brothers that you said the names was.
Yeah, Billy and George Patch.
To still speak of people passed on, it's really nice to know that they're still spoken of because of their skills, which they've done over the years,
They were notorious, don't worry about that.
Right, and I'm glad you asked that one. What's been a memorable job for... Oh, it's another one. Yeah, right, go on then. So, what's been a memorable job for the wrong reasons?
Germany. I worked on a school on an American base. I think it was 3 stories high, so you get 3 slabs like that, floors, and it was all brickwork, facework inside. It was like big engineering bricks, red engineering bricks, raked out in... I don't think it was English bond, it was crossbond, something like that. So it's not 9-inch work, 1 brick wide. So you're building that on the inside, but there's nothing on the outside.
Yeah.
There's no scaffold. There's nothing. You just stood on the edge of the slab and down there 3 floors.
Wow.
So one little trip, anything, you've had it. And even, it's even worse when the wall's that high, because that's when you can go over. I hated that job. I really did. And I was there quite a while.
Yeah.
I remember that for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too comfortable at all.
They wouldn't do it now. Surely not. They must be roped up. Well, they put scaffold up, surely, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because they've had to clad the outside or do something at some point, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
We didn't stay there that long. We weren't there that long, but
yeah,
that weren't good.
So, what kind of work do you avoid taking on, and why?
Anything with concrete blocks.
Heavy.
Anything heavy. Not years ago. Now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm too old for it now. I'm 69 now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing that, and I don't do footings anymore. Really, it's got to be only a small one. I can't be bent down all day doing that. Not the way they leave sites now. We spoke about that before, didn't we? Our builders expect you to work even when it's up to DPC.
Yeah.
I think backfield and all that. I insist that has to be done now.
Yeah.
I mean, this job I was on this morning started. It's perfect. The bloke's a builder. It's on a concrete slab. It's beautiful. That's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, myself, I work for many builders, and I hope that many builders are listening to this, because there's only a select few of them that make the work area comfortable and safe on private jobs.
I think we're mountain goats, don't they?
Yeah. Expecting to lay bricks in mud, slapping up and down.
See some of the things on TikTok, didn't you? So how these bricklayers are working with Wellingtons on, and that.
And I think, but they've got to make our work area comfortable, and especially on the private jobs as well. You're in someone's back garden, you want to minimise the mud as quick as possible. Really, get the stone down.
Yeah, that's it.
If having most 9 times out of 10 around patios anyway.
Yeah,
just get it in, get it in, and get it down, and make the work area comfortable. You've got a decent basic scaffold to go on.
Exactly.
Completely agree with you on that, mate. I've had some nightmares over the years, and you just think, what am I doing? It's hard work. Absolutely. So what about working with and dealing with customers? Any memorable stories or moments?
I've got to be careful here. It's changed.
Yeah.
On the private sector, doing extensions and that. If you go back 40 years ago, you just took the job on and got on with it. No one bothered you. All they do is come out and bring you a cup of tea and some biscuits. They let you get on with it. Now, because of social media, a lot of people, they think they're the builder. They know more than you, don't they? Do you know when you think, why am I here? And I'm not being derogatory here. The woman in the house now rules, especially when it comes to running the job.
Yeah.
She goes down to school and comes back to, my mate Mary said her builder said they've done it like this. You get all this, and you don't want to argue with the lady. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to be nice. You think, but it becomes irrational sometimes. It has changed that way. And I find it difficult sometimes dealing with people now, whereas I never used to. I end up just pulling me, like you can see, I've pulled my hair out. I
mean, even in my time, and from going to work with my dad when I was younger, customers, there'd be teas all day long, there'd be a bacon sandwich chucked out the window and a bit of toast in the afternoon or something like that, And nowadays, most of my work is private work, and they open the door, chuck the key at you, close the door, and you don't see them for the rest of the day or anything like that, But gone are the days, I think, where you really used to get looked after. I mean, I've had some jobs, don't get me wrong, the teas, the biscuits, it's nice, but I find it's usually generally the older customers because they're still in that way. Do you want a sandwich? Do you want this? All day long, But a lot of them now, it looks like they just chuck the key at you out the door and go.
Well, I would never bring a flask of tea to work years ago, but I do now because you don't know what you're going to get, do you?
There you go.
And I've got to have a cup of tea during the day.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this show and you're not a bricklayer or a builder,
look after
chuck a cup of tea out the window because it goes a long way. It really does.
Yeah.
Right, so we've done the green now on the tools. And we're going to go on to about the trade. So, Andy, I talked to Gary Steins from GSQ on the last show about the skill shortage. Why do you think we struggle to attract young people into the trade?
Do we, though? I don't think we do.
You reckon?
No. I see so much stuff on Facebook and that of young apprentices trying to get taken on.
Yeah.
They're there, but no one wants to take them on.
Yeah.
They've done that first bit of college, now they want to advance. There's nothing there for them.
Yeah.
It's not quite an attractive job as it used to be, and there are, not everyone wants to become bricklayers or go into the construction industry. They want to go on TikTok or whatever, social media, or they don't all want to work as hard as we did, or as I did in the day. Do you know what I mean? But there are still plenty out there who can't get on.
And what do you reckon the reason is? From an employer's view, why do you think they're not taking these lads on?
I don't know too much about it because I don't get involved in it, but I think it is quite complicated actually paying them and the setup financially and everything.
Yeah. And
working with the CITB, I suppose it is. I don't think it's that easy.
Yeah.
And then what you've got to watch with some of these big subcontractors, they take them on, but they use them as cheap labour.
Yeah.
They're not learning nothing. They learn a bit of college. They got to be hands on.
Yeah.
On the trail, not labouring. You've got odd carriers. Use them.
Yeah.
It's not fair on them.
Yeah.
So that also, makes the job unattractive again, because you probably get people who do that, and after 6 months labouring, thinking I didn't come here to do this, they pull out. And then all that money's been wasted.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So the setup needs looking at. I think.
Yeah,
but I'm not that up on it because I don't go on sites on that. But this is what people tell me.
Yeah. How has the trade treated your body over the years, and what advice do you have for the younger bricklayers around?
It's a hard game, isn't it? We know that. And everyone's different. Everyone's got a different body, different capabilities. I suffered from psoriatic arthritis, which is a autoimmune disease. I'm on quite heavy medications on it, and I've had it for a long time. I didn't realise. I thought getting up early every morning and feeling rough was normal, but it wasn't until about 10 years ago when I had all the tests that they said, you've had this 30 years. It's not normal to get up feeling like this. So, but that, an office worker can get that. It's nothing to do with the trade. It's an autoimmune disease. So I have suffered with that for a long time. Back's obviously going to get bad back. Repetitive strain injury. Elbows, tennis elbow. I had surgery on my elbow a long time ago. I just come out of Australia. Yeah, 1983.
Yeah.
I had surgery on it then. And I was off work for 2 months with that because it was so painful.
What was it in the elbow?
Tennis elbow.
Elbow, yeah.
But it's been fine ever since. The guy who done the surgery, my mum worked in the hospital with him. She was a nurse. And he pioneered the surgery. But I'd imagine now it's more keyhole. Wouldn't be so painful. But it's a very common thing with bricklayers. They'll get that back, shoulders, and elbows.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you deal with it, I don't know. Just keep yourself fit and eat well. But then all the old boys I know and myself didn't do that.
Yeah.
I went in the pub after work every night and smoked 20, 30 fags a day and
went
to work every day.
Yeah.
You didn't hear them moaning.
No, yeah.
You didn't,
No.
It's funny. So I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Whatever suits you, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for myself, I've looked at my dad, the same. He's got arthritis, etc. And it's hurt his body over the years. One thing I've tried to do myself, it's been the last 18 months or so, is just my diet, really. He's trying to really eat clean, so your body recovers more, you're not hurting so much and things like that.
I've gone through a few faddy diets. I've done a carnivore diet for a month. I was never going to do any longer than that.
Yeah.
But that helped a lot, cleaning. It's too hard to do. I can't just live on meat and eggs. It's too much. But eat clean. You've got to be so careful what you eat because there's so much rubbish in food now.
Yeah. Hydration as well.
I started drinking a lot of water every day. That's the problem, though, working around people's houses.
Yeah.
Especially as you get at my age, you keep wanting to go to the toilet.
Especially in the cold as well. Because summer months not so bad because you're sweating all day. You probably don't even go to the toilet that much in the summer because you sweat a lot of it out. But winter months, obviously, it's tough because cold, drink of water, I need to go again.
But it doesn't have to be water, drink tea, as long as it's fluid. Doesn't
it,
really?
That's it. Keep yourself well hydrated.
Yeah, water.
What would you do to sell the trade as a great career to school leavers, and?
Well, it's like we said before, really, the whole thing's got to change, isn't it? Health and safety is killing the industry. How extreme it is. You've got to have health and safety.
Yeah.
No doubt about it, I've done a video on it a few weeks back, and I can't remember the figures now about how many people still die on sites every year, and it's normally from heights. And the last percentage of people over 60, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, which is interesting. I didn't believe there's that many people over 60 still working on sites, but that tells you another story, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly.
But it's got to be made more attractive. The apprentice schemes have got to be there, haven't they, to bring people in. The money's got to get better. I don't care what anyone says. People think £220 a day is good money. No. It isn't. Watch that video I've done, I explain it all there.
Yeah, it's not when you break it down to your fuel, your tools, your body, taxing on your bodies,
everything.
We do a lot and go through a lot. Don't we?
I don't want to go to work just to pay the bills.
No,
I want holidays every year. I want a nice car. Why not? That's what you go to work for, isn't it?
Yeah. You
slog yourself for it. Yeah, you do. And I've got a big problem with universities. I think too many kids go to university for no reason at all. They come out and they can't get a job.
Yeah, and they're in debt then as well.
My stepdaughter studied script writing. Script writing. She's not going to become an author, is she, or anything?
Yeah.
2 years at university for nothing. Just paying that loan off. Mad.
Could have had a lot of money on the
tools.
It's a big
scam, especially with the university housing and all that. Everyone's making money out of it, and the kids are coming out with nothing.
Yeah.
And these kids could be going into engineering, construction industry, and all that, doing something worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's turning them away, and all they do, what it's like. The first year they spend there just drinking, don't they, and partying.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong like that. Young people do
that's
that.
it. Young and wild and free and enjoy yourselves.
It's not helping them out.
But excuse me. Not in the long run of things, is it, in life, So obviously, so first and foremost, we think there's definitely after speaking with Gary and Andy, more money needs to come into the game, basically, to attract more people into the game. It's a very hard job. It taxes on your body. Everything's very heavy. What do you reckon the average house weighs? There's a lot of ton in it, isn't there, basically? And that's got to be moved by humans, and there needs to be more money involved to help make that happen. So, right, final question for you, and what do you think about the current house building targets from the government and the reality of what we will achieve? They want 1.5 million homes in the next 5 years.
Not going to happen. It's impossible, and you know that.
Yeah.
And how they don't know that, I don't know. You can't lie that much, can you? No one believes them.
Yeah.
We haven't got the manpower. But we import bricks from Europe. What Weinberger.
Yeah.
Most of them bricks come from Belgium and Holland.
Yeah.
But the ones you was using last week, they were imported.
I think the government think that they watch these Super Trial videos and think we're all going to be laying 700 bricks in an hour.
And then they said, well, we're going to have to bring foreign labour. Rather than teach our own people, we'll bring foreign labour in. You bring foreign labour in, where are they going to live?
Yeah.
You've got to build more houses.
Yeah.
It just don't add up, does it?
And the money's not going to stay in the country then either, is it? So.
No, that's the thing. I mean, listen, when we went to Germany all them years ago, we didn't go there to boost their economy and pay German tax.
Yeah.
We went there to earn cash and bring it back to England. And it's the same, any foreigner coming to a country, unless you tend to stay there, which most don't.
Yeah.
You're only coming to milk it, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, bricklaying even the UK now, bricklaying is the highest paid job. You won't get better wages anywhere else in the world. They just don't, against the cost of living.
Yeah.
You get better money in Holland, but the cost of living's higher than that. They pay more tax, 40% tax.
Yeah.
So that's why people come here. But houses are unaffordable as well, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in Australia last year for a couple of months, and they've got the same problem there. They've got a massive housing problem there. And they're doing 40-year mortgages there now. Who wants to strap yourself up for that for all your life?
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
And it's a risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interest rates go up. You could spend 20 years paying and then lose your house, couldn't you?
Yeah.
It's other things. And we know what houses cost to build, don't we?
I think that's where we're going to end the show there now on that one. So, Andy, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio, taking time out of your busy schedule. Hectic life. But do you want to give your channel a plug so the listeners at home, obviously I'm sure a lot of you know who Andy is, but if ever listen to this now and find out where you can watch his videos.
Yeah, if you don't know me, my name's Andy, obviously, Andy Pali, and I'm on YouTube, and it's Bricklayers World with Andy is the name of the channel. Have a look.
Yeah, fantastic channel. Loads of videos for the young bricklayers out there, and even the experienced bricklayers as well who want to learn something different to what they do day in, day out as well. So,
thanks, Ashley.
Thanks so much, Andy. Appreciate you.
The Builders Station. Fix Radio.
That's it for this episode of the Bricklaying Show. Please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. You can follow me on all socials at Mahoney Brickworks Limited. Thanks for listening.